Seahawks price for Monday, February 9th, 2026. It is Monday.
It is Monday.
Just confirming.
Yes.
Mr. Monday over here. And a presentation of Bet365. We're coming to you from the Nation Network studio here at the historic Wall Center. Matt Sekeres alongside Blake Price. Mike Rogerson and all his Junos hitting switches and conducting things with intern James No.
Everybody's accounted for. Everybody's in their right place as we begin our Olympic week.
Indeed. So did you have a good week in my absence? Thanks to J-Pat for sitting in last week.
Yeah, it was. There was some
Lots
Canucks
going
drama.
on. Oh, my gosh.
There was some Whitecaps drama.
Sure was.
Yeah, we had lots to talk about. We were.
You had a Super Bowl to preview.
That's right. Yeah, we had a busy. Our last show, that Thursday show, was jammed.
CFL free agents. Oh, yeah. I saw that. My God, was it jammed?
Yeah.
So jammed that Gregg Bell joined you from a latrine.
A moving latrine. Yes.
Greg will join today as well.
Not from a latrine, presumably.
Met a ton of Canadiens down there in Mexico.
Yeah. That's the place to go.
Got a little sunburn. Caught a little bug on the way home.
Not
Eventful week,
not Finnish women's hockey bug kind of thing.
No.
No.
Well, at least I sure hope not.
Yes. Well, I think you'd know by now.
Yeah. Tapped out on day 5. I'm like, okay. The all-day inclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Runs its course?
Yeah. There's plenty running its course there on day 5 and day 6.
Plenty running, yes. Too much information.
You try to avoid the water, but if there's any ice in the drinks or you're having salads that are anyways. Let's get to our Yellow Dog poll question. Will we ever see prime Elias Pettersson again? You can vote yes. You can vote no. Do so at the Sekeres Price X and YouTube channels. I noticed some discussion about Elias and his play, too, last week.
Well, everybody's been trying to find bright spots to his play all season long, and there's been periodic flashes, but it's disappeared again. It is back off of a cliff. A lot of those edge data points that people have been bringing up throughout the course of the season, they are not improving. His skating is not getting better. His shot velocity is staying low. And the points aren't there right now either. The bottom line isn't there. So it's really tough to get excited about Elias Pettersson. The one possibility, the one wild card possibility here is that he's just sick and tired of playing on the shitty team. And that the minute...
In a market where he's under the microscope.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you take that out, I don't think he necessarily wants a trade, if that's what you're insinuating. But I think, from the 7-game mark on, Matt, it was pretty clear this is a bad team.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably knew from about the 7th or 12th game on, we're not making the playoffs.
No.
And maybe that's the one reason to tune into Team Sweden games here in the Olympics. And I'm not putting that as a high probability, by the way, because I don't think that's the issue. But I think it's a non-zero possibility that has affected him to such degree that his joy of the game has been robbed.
I think so.
And that maybe with Sweden and a clean slate. Now, we thought this for the Four Nations face-off last year, and that didn't happen.
No, we didn't think this. No. We brought it up as a possibility, but
that's what
nobody
right
here who was watching Elias thought suddenly he would turn a magic switch and be this dominant forward.
And he was invisible
there. He got demoted as the tournament went along.
He's starting demoted here, for heaven's sakes.
Do you want to get to that now? Yeah, let's get to that now. So everybody's over there looking at that Swedish practice. Those reporters who were on the ground.
Well, except it wasn't. It was a closed practice.
Oh.
This came through scuttlebutt from the locker room. You were allowed in the room after, and so they just inquired from the players. It was a closed practice, though.
Surely there's an open practice coming up.
I would
Are they
guess.
closing all the practices? That has not been the...
Canada was a closed practice today as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I would hope they open it up.
I will rephrase.
Yeah.
Closed practices.
Can you get those Swedish lines up there, Mike? Show the folks.
Okay, so here's where we're looking at. Here's our best guess at the very least, because some had Pettersson on the wing with Zibanejad in the middle. But others say Elias Pettersson is going to center for what is now the third line for Team Sweden, alongside Mika Zibanejad of the New York Rangers, Rickard Rakell of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, look, pretty good collection of forwards, or at least pretty good collection of 9 forwards for the Swedish team, with Joel Eriksson Ek, Elias Lindholm, our old friend, as the other centers. It's not the strongest center group, but
that's the thing.
Boy,
Like
on the wing, Nylander, Raymond, Kempe, Forsberg. That is the real McCoy.
If you get, even if 2 years ago you were projecting Eriksson Ek would rise to, okay, that's fine. But I don't think you wouldn't have put a Lindholm ahead of Pettersson 2 years ago.
No way. Absolutely no way.
So, that's and you get a profoundly different set of wingers there. Like that's an older Rakell now and a very old Zibanejad. Like Raymond and Forsberg are still prime players.
Well, Kempe's darn good too, and I mean,
well, no, obviously those guys. Yeah. But I'm saying that what Pettersson has lost, even if he was just the second line center, is playing with Forsberg and Raymond, and that's a big loss for him because Rakell and Zibanejad are not the same as Forsberg and Raymond.
No. Zibanejad's still just 32 years old. Huh?
Is he really? He feels 35.
I know.
He feels 35.
And Zibanejad's having a hell of a year. It's 52 points in 56 games, 23 goals for. I mean, the Rangers are putrid.
Is he really on that Rangers team?
52 in 56,
for him. Okay.
Blake. He's 23 goals. He had 62 and 82 last year. He's already 3 goals better than what he was last season.
Okay, I'll give him some credit for that. Yeah, that's pretty good.
And it's also a hell of a number of years in a row here now. 9 years in a row where Zibanejad has been a 20-plus goal scorer. So I hear what you're saying.
Rakell's a 24-point guy right now. Like, I'd almost think you'd rather have Bratt on that wing than Rakell. But.
Yeah, probably fair. Yeah, why is Bratt languishing down there? But it's only 35 games for Rakell, so he has missed a chunk. So take that with a grain of salt. He was a 70-point player, 35 goals last year for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Anyways, so look, maybe not the best real estate, but still pretty decent real estate. And frankly, Blake, way better real estate than he has played with the Vancouver Canucks this year. I mean, wingers and their inability to score goals has been part of the problem for this Vancouver Canucks team, and it has been one of the reasons why Elias Pettersson's point total is where it is. We did an item on this a couple of weeks back where we looked at just how few 5-on-5 goals and the shooting percentages of Elias Pettersson's wingers this year. There is a little bit of, if you had provided him with better scores on the flank, I think he would be a lot closer to a point per game than he is right now at 34 points in 49 games, 13 of those being goals. So, look, could I see him having a good tournament? Yes. Could I see some upward mobility for him, given who the other centers are on the Swedish team? Also a yes.
Yeah, I mean, only so far. I think he could usurp Lindholm potentially, but I don't think. I mean, Eriksson Ek's having a great year on a great team.
He's a good player.
That's gonna be tough to usurp.
Now he's not the most talented guy with the puck, Eriksson Ek.
Nope.
Like,
his body does a lot of the work.
And Lindholm too, as we saw here with Lindholm. Lindholm is a very good complementary player when he is surrounded by a couple of good wingers, and he's kind of a bit of a shoot-first centerman, Lindholm, as well. So could I see Elias upping his lot in life there? Yes. Could I see Prime Petey in this tournament? And here's where I'll answer the poll question. Yes. In fact, I think you will see flashes of Prime Petey. a collection of games from Prime PD going forward.
You think
But I'm choosing to answer the question, will we see Prime PD from the standpoint of, will he be a 102-point, 39-goal scorer again over the course of 82? I'm voting no.
I mean, I think that's the way it should be read for sure. I still, at the Olympics, I'm going to wonder, do we see him pick up his feet and actually skate a bit? Do we see him take hard shots? You know, that will be interesting to see. But yeah, I don't think there's a chance he gets to 90 points. And I think even his most ardent defenders, I think, in this market have even come down to that now too.
So you don't think 90 points ever?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think he hasn't shown me that his body will allow that to happen.
Well, that's what I wonder, and it's hard to know how much of that is out of his control and how much of that is in his control.
Yep. Yeah, and one might beget the other, but it just doesn't seem like it's possible now. And again, not because things just aren't breaking his way. Like, there is a physical problem here that is preventing him from doing it.
Now, here's one thing that we're going to get into, and we will get into it more fervently if, in fact, we are seeing Prime PD at the games, and if we do see him having success with good players. And, you know, the other thing I'll note here is understand he's quite close with Adrian Kempe, and we have talked in the past about, you know, with a wife who's got roots in Los Angeles now, if there was ever a place where he would accept a trade, would it be to L.A., the Kings, where he could possibly play with Kempe and I guess now Panarin, or even in Anaheim there where you would be in Southern California. But I do wonder if things go well for Elias in this tournament, does he get the winning bug again? Does that rekindle the zest for wanting to win? Because we know there's not going to be a whole lot of winning here over the next couple of years with the Canucks in a rebuild. And so does that grease the skids where maybe he is more amenable to a trade, to a playoff team, a perennial contender, a place where he can do more winning, or a lot more winning than he will here in Vancouver?
Well, that would be a signal of all in for the LA Kings, but you know, there's a salary cap in this league last time I checked, and you know, that's going to be pretty tough for them to navigate.
More on this later in the block here.
Okay. All right. Okay. You've got ideas.
Something came across my radar that I find interesting, and I am going to posit to you.
You're going to workshop it. Okay. Okay.
I've had a week off. I have had plenty of time to workshop.
I hear you. You'd like to talk about Yellow Dog now?
Indeed.
I'd like to talk about Yellow Dog as well, because it's getting closer and closer to beer drinking patio season. It's just there, which makes me think of Hi There Lemon hard iced tea as well. This is an iced tea perfect for summertime. I think it's fine in the spring as well. Whether you're relaxing on the beach, sweating through an intense game of pickleball, you'll have that refreshing relief just within arm's reach. Sweet, crafted hard iced tea. It's like sipping sunshine in a can, and it's just around the corner.
Let's get to our top story. It's brought to you by Pacific Blue Cross, the longest. And hey, we don't often have a non-hockey story as our lead story.
Nope. Whitecaps did some in the fall.
With Thomas Muller and the run to MLS Cup. But today it's football. And the longest Super Bowl shot in a quarter century, the Seattle Seahawks go from preseason afterthought to Super Bowl champions behind a dominant defense that shuts down New England in a 29-13 win at the stadium of their rival, San Francisco 49ers, Levi's Stadium on Super Sunday. The Seahawks get revenge over the Patriots for that second and dumb Super Bowl 11 years ago and add a second Vince Lombardi to their trophy cabinet. Running back Kenneth Walker is the game MVP, in part because there's just too many defensive stars to choose from on this Seattle defense. They force 3 turnovers. They get 6 sacks, 2 each from Derek Hall, Byron Murphy. And they make regular season MVP runner-up Drake May look boyish and unworthy of the stage. Sam Darnold, their quarterback, once again pedestrian. So is the Seattle offense, but they didn't make the big mistake, and that is key. Darnold with a tremendous comeback story that goes into the Super Bowl annals alongside Jim Plunkett and Kurt Warner and some of the other great rises to Super Bowl winning quarterback. 3rd pick in the draft. Jets move on. He spends time in Carolina and San Francisco as a backup, rekindles his career in Minnesota last year before signing with Seattle, and now memorialized as a Super Bowl winning championship quarterback.
And unlike the Dilfers before him, I will say this.
He's no Dilfer. He's better than Dilfer. But Brad Johnson of that Tampa team in 2002,
well, here's what I'll say.
To me, that's an apt comparison.
Here's what I'll say. Sam Darnold could have played this game differently if Mike McDonald wanted him to. And I think that the way that this game ultimately unfolded with Kenneth Walker busting out 2 big runs early on, they thought, we don't need to even tempt the air. We don't need to.
Well, especially with some of those first passes, Blake, because my goodness, he is trying to fit the ball into difficult windows there. There's a couple of moments where your heart is in your throat thinking turnover, interception early. But more on their lack of turnovers.
They saw their bread getting buttered a different way, and we're like, you know what? Let's just keep doing this. It's serving us well. Now, again, red zone offense was a little concerning there because they marched down 3 times and only get the field goal.
Let them hang around.
But ultimately, the defense is like, we're not going to make this interesting. We assure you, and they didn't.
Yes. Second year in a row where great defense, running game, mistake-free offense is your Super Bowl formula.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic to see that from the standpoint of if you're an NFL fan, you want a variety of routes to a Super Bowl championship. There was a time a few years ago after the Mahomes victories and, of course, after Tom Brady gets another in Tampa where and Stafford in L.A., where you looked at it and went, okay, it might just be that if you don't have the superstar quarterback now, you're not in the Super Bowl. You're not in the Super Bowl game, right? So I liked it from that point of view. I want variety in terms of the National Football League and the different ways you construct a roster to build a championship club. And I'll be the first to admit, I was wrong about Sam Darnold. We have some people taking photos in the window here. We always like to, hey, hi there. Okay. I was wrong. I was wrong about Darnold. I was wrong about the Hawks. I thought Sam Darnold was just good enough to get you beat in the big game. And because of that, I didn't think the Hawks were going to win it all.
And ultimately, this was not their biggest test. We said this, and it doesn't always play out like this, but we did nail it this time. The Super Bowl was 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Like
the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Much like when we were kids, Blake, because the NFC went on that huge run with San Francisco, the Giants, Washington, Chicago. You know, the AFC never won the Super Bowl back when we were kids.
Well, and also much like we were kids, the Super Bowl was boring then, but it was boring. But, you know, I saw a graphic that outlined this, and they said, you know, don't worry. The Super Bowl has been pretty damn good over the last 30 years.
It has.
The first 30 years produced 7 fourth-quarter lead changes.
Yeah. We used to always say super blowouts, great cups, right?
Yeah.
That the Canadian football championship game always delivered, and the U.S. championship game never delivered.
We went with Super Bowl. I think it's got a better ring to it. Yeah.
All right. Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now this defense, and this was something that Blake and I started talking about as the calendar turned to December. There have been great legendary defenses that have taken pedestrian average, even below average offenses to the championship. Notably, the 2000 Ravens, that great defense with Trent Dilfer at quarterback. There have been others, Tampa, 02, good offense, but sensational defense, 3 Hall of Famers. The Bears in 85, I mean, the legendary all-time defense, although they did have the NFL's all-time rushing leader at tailback. So there was that level of defense. Legion of Boom with a young quarterback in Russell Wilson who wasn't fully formed, good running back in Marshawn Lynch, but not a setting scoreboard records or anything like that sort of offense. So that has always been a formula. What we wondered with the Seahawks, if you're a notch below those legendary defenses, can that win you a championship? And we referenced the two most recent New York Giants championships with Eli Manning at quarterback. Good offenses in some cases with excellent receivers, but very, very good defenses that you wouldn't put with some of those legendary ones, but good enough to win in those years. So watching them yesterday with one of the finest defensive performances in Super Bowl history, are you calling this a legendary defense? Does it rise to that level? The Legion of Boom, the 86 Giants, the 85 Bears, the 2000 Ravens, the Steel Curtain?
I think there's a very good chance they are that, but you need a bigger sample size before we call them that. I think the seeds for all of those trees have been planted now.
Yep.
But with guys like Emmanwori and Witherspoon being so young, I think you need to see it one more time before you coronate them. And hey, if they made it to the NFC Championship game next year, I think we could start to say, okay, yeah, this defense is the real deal. And they're going to be given every chance to show that they can do it again because everybody's coming back. But I think it's a little early to do that. But they are right now in that next tier that you talked about, and they could be talked about in the legendary status as early as this time next year.
I'm with you. They're just a hair below those legendary defenses, but it's getting closer each and every time they step on the field. And I got to say, I'm extremely happy for all the 12s across British Columbia. They're effectively a home team for us here in this province. Very accessible for many who live here to get down and watch NFL games at a fantastic stadium, one of the great stadiums in the league, one of the great environments in the league. So I'm absolutely overjoyed because you and I both have tons of people in our circles who are huge Seahawks fans. Shout out to our buddy Walter Cosman of the Vancouver Canadiens, who was in attendance yesterday. And, if you're going to spend the money to go down on those ducats, you want to see a win, got to win. So very happy for everybody here who supported the Seahawks, in some cases for 50 years, through some of the lean years in the early going.
Yeah. I mean, pinch yourself. There's been a lot of fun times here in the Pacific Northwest watching this team in the last 20 years. I mean, you even go back to for a lot of teams, 20 years is recent history still. That's when they started it with the appearance with Holmgren versus the Steelers. That was not a dominant team, but it was the start of something. It was the start of a winning attitude to some degree. And now, one of the great stats of this run, and we talk about how dominant the defense is, but give credit to everybody because they trailed for 95 seconds in the playoffs.
It was
are you kidding me?
It was a dominant postseason performance, needless to say. And against your two biggest rivals, who are arguably the next two best teams in the conference.
And it's just hard to beat them twice in a row, both of those teams. And they did it.
Yep. So all that said, 12s, we understand you were just concerned about the W and nothing else.
Yes.
That was an extremely tough watch.
It was.
Okay. The lowest scoring Super Bowl first half in 37 years, the fifth lowest all time. 15 punts tied for the second most in any Super Bowl. As many joked, Bad Bunny rushed for more yards at halftime than the New England Patriots did.
Well, a shutout was on the table.
So I don't know how many of the previous 59 Super Bowl champions this Seahawks team would have beaten, but I'm not sure it's half. Because they were not – that is an offense that needed carrying, and holy cow, I can't think of a conference champion in recent memory worse than New England.
They did not look like they were deserving of being in that game. But
they were wholly unworthy of being on the super stage.
Well, Christian Gonzalez made a couple of big plays too. Like
Christian Gonzalez is one of the best players in football, and he proved that yesterday.
But if he doesn't play like that,
I know. I know.
I mean, I don't know what the score is, but I do wonder this. If they don't get that Barner touchdown, let's say that's just a field goal, and it's only, what would that have made it? If it was a field goal, then you take off 4 points, 15-0. If it's only 15-0 there in the fourth quarter, I don't know that the Patriots score points in the game. At 19-0, I think the Seahawks breathed enough and said, okay, we'll prevent for a little bit here. And then they started, and then they got some big plays to get up to 29. But I think it's a shutout. If they don't get the Barner touchdown, it's only 3 points, then I think the D just continues to clamp. And I don't know that the Patriots score points. Like, that was on the table. In the fourth quarter, a shutout.
It was, Blake, it was inept. And look, we'll have Captain Gregg Bell, our Seahawks Insider, on here in a bit to explain some of the subtleties of what Seattle did defensively yesterday to completely shut down New England until garbage time when they called the dogs off a little. But for the most part, that was pretty basic stuff. Like zone coverage, Russian 4, occasionally blitzing off the nickel edge. That should not have been the biggest riddle for a guy who finished second in the MVP voting. But May had a poor playoffs, and I just don't think he was ready for the stage. Like, that was peeing down your leg.
And that's why
their offensive line isn't all that great, and the receiving group isn't all that great. I mean, I think Vrabel did a masterful job in New England this year. They played the weak schedule. I think that showed up too, right? They got a huge break in the AFC Championship game when Denver's starting quarterback wasn't able to play. So you had things aligned to allow a team that was truly unworthy of being one of the two last standing in the league.
They also screwed up on Coach of the Year. Let's be honest. They screwed up on Coach of the Year. It should be Mike McDonald.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Who won it?
Vrabel did, didn't he?
Oh,
I think so.
Okay. I thought Cohen in Jacksonville, he would have got my vote given where they were coming from.
But I do want to not take everything away from the Seahawks here because I think Mike McDonald again coached the game in front of him.
That's right,
and I think he nursed it home intentionally. I think that game, could have taken on a bunch of different attitudes if the Patriots are a good team.
Yep.
I think Mike McDonald saw this team completely inept and went, we're only going to do this so that we don't make mistakes, so we don't give them points.
Right.
We're going to play this way.
Wally taught us all of this. Your number one job as a head coach is to not lose the game.
Right.
You can't win it. You're not playing.
Yeah.
So your job is to minimize ways to lose the football game. And McDonald did just that. Yeah. I love the shot of him celebrating.
Oh, looking up.
At first I was like, somebody go run and hug Coach. And then he's just sort of looking around taking it all wide out. And he's, speaking of boyish, I mean, he looks like a child. I mean, this is not the longest tenured resume. This is a guy who didn't play college football.
Yeah.
This guy went to the University of Georgia but did not play for the Bulldogs. He volunteered, kept banging on the football office door until somebody allowed him to volunteer with the football program. This was not that long ago, 17 years ago or so.
That's crazy. 17 years ago, if you told that guy you're going to win the Super Bowl.
You're going to win the Super Bowl as a head coach. Big whistle. They were 60-1 in the preseason. That was the biggest long shot to win a Super Bowl since the 2001 Patriots. That was the first Brady Belichick Super Bowl. Tied for the second biggest preseason long shot in the last 50 years to win a Super Bowl, so really unexpected at the beginning of the year. They were the first Super Bowl champion to ever go an entire postseason without committing a turnover. And what it makes it more impressive, as Adam Schefter notes, they were second in the league in turnovers with 28, and many of them on Sam Darnold all season long. So they totally 180'd their offensive identity down the stretch and through the playoffs. They took good care of the ball, and they found a running game that was a little hit and miss through the regular season. Then there's the architect, general manager John Schneider. He now is one of 3 GMs in NFL history to win multiple Super Bowls with a different head coach and quarterback. The other are Howie Roseman of the Eagles, who just did it last year with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni after winning with Doug Peterson and Nick Foles not too long ago. Ozzie Newsome of the Ravens has also pulled the trick, did it with Flacco and with Dilfer, with Brian Billick and John Harbaugh. But Schneider is the first to do it without a single returning player. Both those guys, Roseman and Newsome, had guys on their team who were a part of both Super Bowls. Schneider did not have a single player from 12 years ago on this team. And I think you can also argue 2025 NFC West may well be the best division in NFL history. You're a Super Bowl champion, you're NFC finalist, who, let's face it, were like the Super Bowl finalists in the Rams. You had the 49ers team that knocked out last year's champ, Philadelphia, in the playoffs. Look at the combined record, Blake. Seattle, the Rams, and the 49ers, 44-15. That's playing 750 football in the NFL, and that is extremely hard to do.
And the 49ers, if they are healthy, what would this postseason have looked like for them? And, you can say that about every sport for a lot, but they were particularly banged up, the 49ers. They could have been a bigger force to be reckoned with, and they'll wonder what could have been.
If I can get on the high horse for a second here.
Yeah?
It's been a while.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what this is regarding.
Pent up. You take the week off. So I know hockey fans, and they're not wrong, love to paint the juxtaposition between the championship celebration and protocol. The captain, a player, gets the Stanley Cup first, whereas in the other leagues, it's the owner who gets the trophy. And I don't disagree. That is, for my money, better to give it to a player. They actually do the winning. All that said, I thought Jody Allen was tremendous on the podium last night. Here's what bothered me about that podium, and what bothers me about every Super Bowl podium. In last night's case, the defense was most responsible for that victory. Okay, McDonald is the de facto coordinator, calls the defenses. There's not a single defensive player on that podium. It's Sam Darnold, it's Kenneth Walker, it's McDonald, Schneider, and Allen. You're telling me you didn't have room for a defensive captain to come on?
Marcus Lawrence, yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. Not Nick Emmanwori, too young.
Well, he's a rookie.
Yeah. But DeMarcus Lawrence can be up there for sure.
Oh, please, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, Julian Love had an interception to seal the game. Byron Murphy played a great game. Derek Hall was in the running for a game MVP. Witherspoon with get another player up there to represent your defense.
Yeah, that might have rankled some feathers even. They probably noticed that.
Well, we remember how the first Super Bowl team kind of torn apart, right? The divide between the offensive and defensive teams surrounding the quarterback. The other thing is, I understand why you have an elevated podium like that. I hate the fact that you have 45 to 50 some players who are responsible for that victory
looking up
and watching it as though they are spectators and fans.
Yeah.
Can the NFL not find a way to wheel in a bigger podium where the entire team and coaching staff can be there with the trophy and the winning quarterback, the game MVP?
You saw the halftime show. They have that.
They have that technology available to them.
I think they can pull that part off. Yeah. And you
had half of Puerto Rico on a stage at halftime.
They had human trees that were being paid $1,700 for the week, or $1,400 for the week. Those trees.
Is that what they were making? To stand there and be a tree?
Yeah, $1,400. I think they could have pulled it. And speaking of the owner thing, though, one day one owner is going to be like, "Why am I getting this? Come up here, quarterback." Like one day, somebody's
I thought Jody might do it because let's face it, she's an accidental owner of this team, right?
And almost reluctant.
Her brother Paul wasn't even a big football fan.
Yeah.
If you read the stories from way back when he saved the Seahawks, and SI did a fantastic profile of him once upon a time. He loved basketball. He loved the numbers and everything about basketball. He was sort of just a coolish football fan.
Owned the Winterhawks too, didn't he? Did he own the Winterhawks too?
I don't remember.
No.
But he saved the Seahawks basically as a source of civic pride. Wasn't going to let Seattle lose its NFL team on his watch with all those Microsoft billions.
I'm all for the owner being there.
When he passes away and his sister takes over, again, she had no sort of worlds at one point, desire that she was going to be an NFL franchise owner, and then there she is.
I'm all for the owner being there, but just as the commission is about to hand it off, Sam, come on up, or DeMarcus, come on up.
Yeah. Anyways, one other thing from the podium, small world. Maria Taylor of NBC, Mike McDonald, they went to the same high school, Centennial High in Roswell, Georgia, near Atlanta. Blake, they were classmates. And they're both on the Super Bowl podium. What are the odds in a country of 350 million people that the head coach of the Super Bowl winner and the host of the celebration, the MC, are from the same school in the same year?
That's pretty funny.
That's out of this world.
Yeah.
On the halftime, and you're telling me it's the most watched halftime?
Yeah, most watched in history.
I didn't understand a word of it. It's not necessarily my kind of music. It was absolutely a vibe, even if it didn't necessarily land with me. I loved the Easter egg component, though, that, there was Jessica Alba, and there was the kid who was accidentally detained by ICE. And the couple actually were getting married and had written to Bad Bunny about it, not to mention some of the other celebrities who appeared that you wouldn't necessarily have known until it started leaking out after it. So,
yeah. And it was a Spanish-speaking singer in a town called San Francisco, just north of Los Angeles.
In a state called California.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people. There have been Super Bowl halftimes going back to basically 1993 and Michael Jackson at the Rose Bowl in L.A., Dallas. Some years you like the artist, some years you don't like the artist.
Yeah. And some days I've never been a Weeknd fan. I liked the Weeknd.
Yeah, ditto.
But I just respect what the show was.
I'm a huge Prince guy. Showing Super Bowl 41 with my team in the game was outstanding. I in the pouring rain, not purple, but pouring. And he's there in a heeled boot playing his guitar and putting on the full Prince show. I thought it was absolutely mesmerizing.
And Maroon 5, a bunch of white
Some
guys.
people didn't like it. Okay.
Maroon 5, a bunch of white guys. Freaking terrible. So there you go. Pick your poison.
Maroon 5 slander here on Sekeres and Price. All right. What's going on with Pacific Blue Cross?
Well, they want to send you out on the road because everybody needs a vacation, don't they? As Matt can attest to, it resets you. Well, with Pacific Blue Cross, they should always be top of mind when you're on vacation. Get your Pacific Blue Cross travel insurance, and maybe you'll be a part of the ultimate Canucks road trip. Your chance to see the Canucks on the road, complete with flights, hotel, lower bowl tickets, and more. No purchase necessary. Contest ends February 28th, 2026. Enter now at pacificbluecross.ca/Canucks.
Thought we both might have to avail ourselves of it last week, Blake, with whatever I came down with on day 5. And she made it a full 3 hours before a cut emerged on her shin. Had to go see the Medica.
Yeah, you don't want the infection going wild.
Exactly.
No. Don't want
2 guys
that.
came over, had to treat her. There were forms to fill out. I said, how did you do that? She said, I don't quite know. I think it was the margaritas. Okay, Vancouver Canucks here. Let's get back to them. So, no move before the roster freeze. I sure hope to God that they emerge from this roster freeze and before March 6th, taking on bad money or undesired money. That's how you properly rebuild. Because a situation now has developed in Los Angeles with the Kings after they add Artemi Panarin. Elliot Friedman saying that Warren Foegele, the ex-Edmonton winger, they want to move off his salary to clear space to add a center iceman. We talked about this with Andrew Mangiapane in Edmonton, Blake, when his name first came up in trade. Foegele could very easily qualify as that vet to see you through the rebuild. You may get an asset attached to him because the Kings want to get off the money. And here's the important part, Blake. You can also get an asset for him next year when you move off him as a rental at the deadline.
But man, is he bad.
Foegele, $3.5 million on the cap. What do you mean, man, is he bad? Mike, put up the graphic. It's a 76%. That's not bad.
His county stats are not good this year.
Who cares? Who cares?
Well,
You're not playing for anything this year.
No, I'm
You're
just
not
saying,
playing for anything next year.
Don't make it out like he's going to get you something next year at the trade deadline. With those stats, he's not getting you anything at the trade deadline next year. That's my point. But yes, by all means, the exercise.
He's got a lot of time to turn that around.
He did. He had 24 last year, so
exactly.
I'll give you that. But yeah, no, making those kinds of acquisitions by all means. Mm-hmm. Now, for your Elias Pettersson plan, you're going to need a lot more than Warren Foegele's $3.5 million if you're trying to send Elias Pettersson to the Kings.
So, the Elias Pettersson to the Kings would require more money coming off their books. Of that, there's no doubt. The Kings have, I think it's just shy of $2 million in cap space right now.
Kuzi comes back too.
It might be Kuzi having to come back as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, and look, that is just spitballing. I don't anticipate that will happen.
Yeah.
But, and I have seen Canucks fans talking about this on Twitter. Kenny Holland is a little bit of an old school general manager. Kenny Holland has a different idea on value and marketplace than some of the other GMs around the league. We saw this during his final years in Edmonton as well. Kenny Holland is willing to make a courage of his conviction sort of trade. I just hope that these Canucks managers are in constant contact with Kenny Holland before he goes and does something stupid with someone else. Kenny, before you go and mortgage the future for Braden Shen or some other centerman.
Yeah. Ryan O'Reilly.
Let's chit-chat, Kenny, about the deal that you can make for Elias Pettersson, who, as you know, is a cut above those guys. The other name I want to bring up here, Blake, is Patrick Laine. At $8.7 million, the Habs desperately want off the player. It hasn't worked out. He's desperately wanted out. He's played just 5 games this year, 1 point. Montreal has a ton of picks and prospects. And if you're the Canucks, here's the beauty of this one. You don't even need a whole lot of retention on that, right? If your owner is willing to just eat money in the final quarter of the season on 8.7, you can just add most of that salary without any kind of salary going back to, well, I suspect maybe there would be some salary going back the other way, but that's not one where you need to make the math work all that much. Canucks right now at $4.85 million in cap space, but of course we're talking prorated over the course of the deadline, right? So about a quarter of the season left. So that 8.7 turns into 2.2, just under.
Yep. I can see something like that.
So, we talked about, and I'm sure you and Jeff talked about it last week, the rebuild pivots, if you want to call it a rebuild, it pivots on a few more steps from this management group. The easy stuff has been done. Well, making a Quinn Hughes trade, not easy, but the Sherwood trade, that was the easy stuff. If it's Bluger, if it's Kane, if it's Kampf, that's the easy stuff. Are you going to trade a veteran who's on the backside of his career, who's got term left, i.e. a Connor Garland? And are you going to weaponize your cap space, use your situation as a non-contender for this year and next by taking on bad or undesirable money in order to gain more picks and more assets that are going to help you?
Would you go near Patrick Laine as a player for next year?
No.
But
I don't need to.
No, you don't know. You don't know.
Congratulations to Brock Besser and his longtime girlfriend, Bella. pictures posted this weekend on her Instagram showing off what appears to be an engagement ring. Rob Williams and Daily Hive have the story because this is their beat.
Yes.
We don't know how long they've been together, but social media posts go back to 2022 with the two of them. And, of course, dogs big in their life as well. We know they lost the dog earlier this year. The Canadian women are playing the Czechia as we speak. Caught myself.
Running away right now.
Won their opener 4-0 over Switzerland when they finally got to their opener after the postponed opener with Finland.
I think it's going to be okay today. It's a 3-0 lead early.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wanted to point you to this. This is Vancouver Golden Eyes goalie Emrance Mashmeyer, who's also the Canadian Olympic goalie. She is having all sorts of fun at the Milan Games, documenting her experience. There she is with Sarah Nurse. They are hammered up for the cameras. Absolutely. Their teammate, Jen Gardner of Surrey, is also a member of Team Canada. So we got 3 Golden Eyes on the Canadian team. David Kampf, we've seen him slot in here at second-line center for Czechia, between the Andres, Kasha, and Palat. Been a big year for David Kampf.
Good for David Kampf. Maybe not so good for Team Czechia. But, yeah, there's Philip Roenick.
No wonder David Kampf thought more of himself and try. He's like, look,
I'm a second-line
the 2 teams
Olympic
I played
center.
for after I couldn't play for you, Leafs, but I'm a second-line center elsewhere. And the United States has named its captain Austin Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs, mostly because of hairline. And I must admit,
They thought he was a 35-year-old veteran.
exactly.
I can make that joke, folks.
This makes me feel so much better about Canada's chances because here's your side-by-side comparison of our captain versus their captain. Mike, do you have that? Did I send you that? I sure hope I sent you that.
My captain, a toy captain.
Yeah.
I don't see anything.
Okay, Mike, I'm going to send it to you right now. But, of course,
Here we go. Is it this one here?
yes, indeed it is.
This is an exhaustive list.
Well, not exhaustive, no. But
No, pretty much.
look at the playoff series wins. 20-1 for Sydney over Austin. Look at the Cups, 3-0. Conn Smythe, 2-0. Olympic Golds, 2-0. Of course, he's got a golden goal. Won at the Four Nations last year. Even won the World Cup and won the MVP of that tournament.
Yeah.
In fairness, Austin has 3 Rocket Richard trophies and a Hart Trophy as well. But
Those are individual awards. What can you do with it?
And the legend of the Lucky Looney from the 2002 Salt Lake City games and that Canadian gold medal continues. Hockey Canada putting a Lucky Looney in all of the Canadian men's hockey bags.
I like it.
For this tournament. Nice touch there by Hockey Canada.
A little addendum to the Canadian women's score, by the way. Marie-Philippe Poulin has left the game with an injury.
No, can't lose poo.
Moments after she left, her wife scored. Laura Stacey got them going. So, angry wife.
Who's going to score the golden goal if it's not poo?
I guess
She's got 3 of them.
her significant other, potentially.
Men get going, Canadian men, that is, on Thursday. Let's get to our menu today. It's brought to you by our friends at Greta, a great spot to catch all the games, home and away, to go in and do some viewing from overseas, perhaps, also to pregame or postgame, because you are mere steps from the stadium or arena. And if you're looking for a venue for a group event, check out Greta, the fantastic street food menu. You're surrounded by the arcade. They got the private backroom riser that you'll love. Email our friends at gretabar.com. Let me get you the email address. I'm a little out of practice, Blake. Yes, for more info to get or to book your event, go to gretabar.com, Greta 50 West Cordova. Let the games begin. We will talk to John Shannon here. We'll talk to him on the Canucks and trade deadline and the Olympic tournament. And then we will talk to Gregg Bell, aforementioned Seahawks Insider, on the famous victory for Seattle's beloved NFL team. Later in the program, we'll get into more Canadian Olympic performances, get into some baseball and farewell to Buck Martinez. We'll talk some Whitecaps. They're on their way back to North America. And Dumb and Dumber in golf and lacrosse.
And another update from the Canadian women, and not unlike Matt near the end of his Mexican holiday, Pooh is back.
I was wondering why you were staring at me like that. Now it all makes sense.
Marie-Philippe back on the bench.
Let's get to our Bet365 bets of the day. Blake, did you win last week? Did you have a good week, Blake?
I thought I had nailed my Super Bowl prop.
Oh.
Because throughout the game, I kept on feeling better and better about it because Kenneth Walker was having the game of his life, and I had Kenneth Walker on the first touchdown of the game. I went a little bit bold there, but I knew they would be testing that ground game, and they did. They kept going to him. They were even throwing the ball to him.
And then it was A.J. Barner.
Well, and also then they were just kicking field goals. They couldn't do anything in the red zone.
No.
So alas, I did not.
Here's the thing, though. New England was so inept. And by the way, regrets to our longtime listener and friend Balraj, who's a huge Patriots fan who had to suffer through that. Believe me, I suffered through a Super Bowl with Rex Grossman trying to win it, so I know how you feel.
Karras as well. Karras and Karras.
Yes, that's right. There was no part of me that was like, oh, they're kicking field goals and leaving them in it, and there'll be the fourth quarter comeback for New England. It wasn't even that. You know, when you kick a number of field goals, and the analyst almost always says, oh, well, they're not converting to touchdowns.
They're
settling for field goals. This could come back to haunt them. There was not a single fiber of me that thought, oh, this is going to come back and haunt them.
It was almost
I was like, no, 9-point lead is like a 19-point lead in this game.
Yeah, the Seahawks were comfortably kicking those field goals going, this is going to be fine.
And then
this is fine.
And then your coach of the year, who I've got great respect for. I had a marvelous interview with him once upon a time when he was the player at Super Bowl 39, Jacksonville. Mike Vrabel. Coach, you're down 19, 2 touchdowns, 2 2-point conversions, and the field goal gets you to 19. You kick the extra point. And I'm sitting there going, if anyone should know that, it should be the Patriots, given 28-3 and how they came back. Like, I realized Mike wasn't on that team. When the coach of the year is screwing up when to go for 1 or 2.
Yep.
Totally out of sorts.
Kind of simple math.
That said, he was right to get pissed off on the punch. Josh Jobs should have been thrown out of the game, or at least given a 15-yard penalty for that. And maybe changes the scoreboard, but I don't think it changes the outcome. Did you make a pick? Or did you just recap your Kenneth Walker miss?
I think I just recapped. Canada versus USA in hockey. You don't have to wait until the medal round. It's tomorrow.
Yeah.
On the women's side.
They do the weighted pools now, the good teams in one pool. And then
yeah. It's a little confusing. But they're going tomorrow, Canada versus the U.S. And Canada is your underdog. And I waited 20 minutes to make that pick, and my odds just got better, Matt.
Oh, wow.
A Canadian underdog to beat the U.S. in the sport of ice hockey?
Right.
I'll take it. Plus 115 on Canada.
I'm looking at the men's tournament, and tomorrow, Finland versus Slovakia. Now, I'm a quarter Slovak. Alas, I looked at their roster. There's just 7 NHLers and no goalies. And here's the other thing. People aren't talking about Finland all that much. And that's a little bit scary. Finland, the defending, reigning Olympic champion in men's ice hockey.
UC Saros is going to have to be damn good.
I'm going Finland to win by 3, paying at plus 350.
Okay.
This segment, a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app, get in on the game, use code NATION when doing so. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. John Shannon, next. Sick Harrison Price from the historic Wall Center.
And after being away for much of the weekend, you know what I'm looking forward to? Just getting back to my pizza.
A routine.
Oh.
Familiar food.
Oh.
And affordable.
The deals right now, just spectacular. And yes, the big game deals are in the rearview mirror. But if you're thinking that's it, it's not. They've got their delivery guarantee as well. If your order's not delivered on time, it's free. Oh, those are from days past. No. Still at Pizza. That's right. When you place your order, you'll have an estimated time of delivery. If your food arrives after that time, your order is free. If you thought the good old days were behind you, they are not.
We used to play this game when we were teenagers on budgets, right? Like, oh, if he's 1 or 2 minutes over, we get it for free.
It's pizza and it's entertainment. Pizza. Go check it out.
An entertaining watch of the clock. As we're joined now by the former executive producer of Hockey Night in Canada, his podcast, 100% Hockey, the most famous man from Oliver, British Columbia, Mr. John Shannon. How are you, John?
I'm great, boys. You?
Good.
Oh, fantastic. Looking forward to the games and Canada's performance, and of course then looking forward to the NHL and the trade deadline, which comes just 12 days thereafter. I wanted to start there because I think the last time we were talking to you, we were talking about this Olympic roster freeze. Would it serve as sort of a soft trade deadline? You had these owners who didn't necessarily want to trade for a guy and have to pay him and spend cap space for him to sit around on a beach during the break. And then you had other teams saying, no, we got to get our business done by this deadline. Look, a big trade for Panarin and a couple other small ones, but do you think the floodgates are going to be unleashed here when the roster freeze lifts?
I do, actually. I do think that the deadline in March may be moot by the time everything is finished. It certainly sounds and looks like if you're not working for a management team at the Olympics, you've taken this week off. You've gone to Mexico, you've gone to the Caribbean, you're going to a weekend in Victoria. This is a real, pardon for the big word, but a denouement before the 17th when people get back at it to start talking. And I think there'll be a ton of talk starting next week again. And I think that there'll be a lot of internal agreement or disagreement at clubs, whether you think you're a buyer or a seller. Owners always want to be buyers. Managers want to save their jobs, so they want to be sellers if they have to be. And so I think by the time the freeze lifts, on the, 22nd, I guess, then we're going to see some movement 23, 24, 25 before the games, the NHL games start again. I just, it doesn't make any sense if you want to sprint to the playoffs. It doesn't make any sense to wait until the last moment anymore.
Yeah.
You do have time to, like, the guys will have time to construct 3-team deals, which we have seen much more prevalent in the last years. You're moving as much money as you are players and draft picks. So I think that whole week where there are no games and managers can talk to each other and then get on a conference call if you have to try to create something. I think we're going to see a little bit more before the end of February.
Yeah, I hear you because honestly, unless you're so cap tight that like 10 days of accrual matters to you, then why not get your business done coming right out of this Olympic freeze? As for the Canucks, John, look, they've got unrestricted free agents like Evander Kane and Teddy Bluger to peddle, but we're all sitting here wondering, okay, will there be a veteran with term that gets moved? Either a guy like a Connor Garland who doesn't have any trade protection, or even someone like a Jake DeBrusk, Elias Pettersson, who does have trade protection. What's your sense on how aggressive this Canucks rebuild or retool is going to be coming out of this break?
I don't think we have a complete sense of it yet, but my gut tells me everything's on the table. If we are talking about buying into the next 2 years being developmental, how's that? Then I think that then everybody has to be on the table. It's too bad because as players, Garland and DeBrusk are valuable assets. They are people I feel you want to build around. Those are the types of guys you like on your team. Pettersson's an interesting story. And you know what, Matt? I will tell you right now, the barometer on Pettersson might change after we watch this Olympic tournament. Because I don't think we know, honestly, and I've had this conversation with a couple of guys. First 2 years when he was in the league, we all marveled at him. We thought he was unbelievable. We thought he was tenacious. We thought he was creative. We thought he could do everything. Well, I'm not sure where that guy is right now. And so perhaps playing for Sweden, he can rekindle a little bit of that. And if that's the case, if you're the Canucks, you can look at this and say, you know what, that's the guy, that's our guy. We believe in him. Or somebody from the outside says, holy smokes, that guy's a difference maker. We should be making a phone call on him. We should call on him. And so to me, the Olympic tournament really could be a gauge for what Elias Pettersson is and will be in the future as a Vancouver Canuck, and I don't have any inside information, or with another team.
Well, he gets new and better, line mates and players to be around, so he's got that going in his favor, and he's also got a new culture around him.
Right,
Team Sweden at the Olympics, which is big because last week, John, we had a really interesting litmus test here, as Teddy Bluger dropped back into the lineup after being gone for a few months. And Teddy Bluger's playing his ass off and putting up points and scoring goals. And he's looking around and going, what did I just jump into, though? Like, you guys are a wreck. And he called everybody out on it and said this is not good, what he's been dropped in. And it was a really interesting science experiment here because he hasn't really been around the team. We know injured players are sort of persona non grata in NHL roster circles. And he comes back to it and he's like, what the hell is this? Is there any way of salvaging that? Is there any way of, trying to get that back? Maybe this year, but certainly even into next year. Like, what can this Canucks management group do?
The one thing I would say, Blake, about that is that Teddy Bluger was brought in from Pittsburgh because Patrick Allvin and Jim Rutherford know the character, know what he brings on the ice, know what he brings in the room. And I dare I say, I suspect that they would have encouraged somebody to say something. And for a player to do it, that to me, I think is important. That reeks of, well, this team doesn't have a captain, and I'm not suggesting Bluger is a captain, but that reeks of pure, unadulterated leadership, which there are at times people are wondering about. I mean, I love the fact that people are talking about Hronek is going to be the next captain. I think that's fantastic because you can see how much it means to him every game. But a guy like Bluger, who Jim and Patrick are familiar with and would know what he brings and has enough of a resume elsewhere to be able to say to people, we've got to get our stuff together. We've got to be better than this. So to me, being away from the team might have been a bonus for Bluger, so he could come in and with the veteran status that he has, he could say that. Is
this team at risk of walking through the wilderness for a while, though? It's one thing to rebuild, but it's another thing to be directionless. What are the signs that you see that this team can avoid that?
Like, I think they may have a quadrennial exploring supernatural British Columbia and all its wilderness.
Yes, it could be into the wild.
I think the best example of a team in a passionate hockey market that did this was Montreal. Okay.
Uh-huh. Great example.
But what Montreal did was they then relied completely on the draft. So the pressure then goes to people within the Canuck organization who are going to be at the draft table and going to be out scouting and be able to decide what kind of player are going to be members of this hockey club, what kind of character these guys have, and how do we rebuild that? And so the answer is, Blake, that's possible. But if you have, as Montreal has proven, if you have 2 or 3 good drafts, it's worth it. Tell me now, and I think if you brought every Montreal fan that you know into the room and said, you know what, you were not very good from the time they went to the, in the COVID thing, they went to the Stanley Cup final. But from that point on till last year, it was hard to watch the Canadiens play. We understood that they were rebuilding and we were all on board. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? And every person would say yes. It was worth it. But it was worth it because, Slafkovsky has clicked. Caulfield has clicked. Hudson has clicked. Gooley has clicked. All
Suzuki,
of their great young
on and on it goes. Was a trade, but it was a rebuild trade, right? Like you were moving guys out to,
Right. So the answer is yes, but now the onus is on the organization to say, let's rebuild this properly and let's rebuild through the draft. We know this draft coming up is deep. We know it's deep. That's good. So let's hope the next couple of drafts are deep too. And, 3 years from now, when we're still talking and still doing this show and Pizza is still the sponsor, will you ask me, was it worth it? And I would say if they were as successful as Montreal, the answer is yes. If the answer is they're still floundering, the answer will be no.
It's an interesting comparison too, guys. They had 55 points in their first rebuild year coming out of that COVID Stanley Cup final. That's almost to the button where the Canucks are tracking to finish is at 55 points.
Is it now down to 55?
Yeah,
I guess it is. And just Suzuki was, before they made that cup final, lest anyone want to put me on E's and O's, but it was
it was
a get out trade. Yeah, it was the Pacioretty for Tatar Suzuki and a pick. Nevertheless, it was a get out trade. And to me, Montreal has always been the instructive example because it's a Canadian market. It's a similar size as this one. And of course, once upon a time, like that market was all about lifting Stanley Cups, not just getting to the playoffs, right? Like, there was a time when the Hab fan, the Yankee fan, and the Cowboy fan was basically like, wake me when we get to the final. Like that is the standard in this town for this franchise. And the Canucks, of course, have never had that. So could this market handle a rebuild? Yeah, of course it can. They're smart hockey fans here. They understand the pathway.
What that requires then, Matt, is transparency.
Yes. Yep.
Because Montreal was very transparent.
Yep.
Jeff Gorton's first press conference when he got there, Gorton, Hughes, St. Louis, when they showed up saying it's going to be hard for a couple of years and we hope you buy in. And I have said this, I will not back down from it. Montreal has the most sophisticated hockey fans in the world, and they understood it, and they actually reveled in it. They reveled in the rebuild.
Yep.
Like, look what Cole Caulfield's going to become. Do you remember last year when Demidov came to North America?
Oh,
he flew into Toronto, and there was Montreal media and fans at the Toronto airport with Demidov coming out of customs and immigration. And it was front page news in Montreal. They bought into the whole thing. And that's what has to happen in Vancouver. And I say this, and it has to, and there was very little negativity in Montreal through that time. And that's a challenge in Vancouver. That's a true challenge in Vancouver, to be positive about being bad.
The other
Not wrong.
instructive thing here, though, guys, is how many veterans survived from the COVID Stanley Cup final team to even just last year's playoff team. And I think the answer is Josh Anderson and Brendan Gallagher. So that's instructive when you look at this Canuck roster, though, guys, and say, okay, but who do you really need to have around for the next time that you make the playoffs? And they've got too many guys, John, on long-term deals. They've got more than Anderson and Gallagher. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, no, that's right. They got lucky because, and I say this knowing full well that both boys are BC guys, they got lucky that Carey Price and Shea Weber, who were those long-term contracts, walked away and went to LTIR, and they got that money.
Yeah.
Right? That helped. That helped. But your point is a valid one. I don't think in 2026, I don't think any manager, I don't think any coach, I don't think any team or any fan base should fall in love with anybody other than 4 or 5 elite players in the National Hockey League. They shouldn't.
Right.
Can't fall in love with them. Don't think they're the best thing since sliced bread.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think there's 5 or 6 guys, and you guys can debate this amongst yourselves later. 5 or 6 guys you'd say, we're not touching him. Everybody else has to be on the table.
Not wrong. Shifting gears to the Olympics. John, there's a saying, if you go to international hockey tournaments, everybody who is around them will say, hey, Canada is always the favorite. As I looked at Canada, and particular vis-a-vis the United States before these rosters were announced at the new year, I got to say, I looked at them and went, I think the United States is better on paper than us, in part because they're goaltending and should be favorites. In the intervening 6 weeks, after seeing who the U.S. selected, seeing how they are now lining up in Milan as they go about their practices, line combinations, defense pairings, and then looking at the Canadian side of the ledger, I am feeling better and better about this before the first game.
On paper, it's not close.
Exactly.
On paper, it's not
better
close.
and better about this before they drop the puck later this week. What says you?
Even
what do you
in
think?
goal?
Not in goal.
Even
not
in
in
goal?
goal.
No. I think we may have to outscore some goaltending trouble, but I think we're capable of doing it. The other thing is, I have this sense of security just about each and every time I see him in the jersey, and I saw it earlier this week. Sydney's not going to let us loose. He doesn't let our country loose when he's in the middle with that C on his chest.
And we've been saying too, John, any defensive win for the Americans, I think, is made up for the fact that our forwards are defensive minded and actually play the whole rink, and they can help out the defense a lot too. So anyway, your thoughts?
I think they are the co-favorites, but I shudder every time. Just watch out for the Swedes. Watch out for the Swedes. This is not a two-team tournament. It is not a two-team tournament.
Wow.
If the other thing I would say is that I think there are 5 teams that can win a medal. Obviously, Canada, the United States, Sweden, Finland, Czech. I think those 5 teams will be the best.
Yeah.
I think we'll rise how good Germany is. We're not giving Germany very much credit right now, but if Philip Grubauer plays the way he has the last 2 months in Seattle, and Leon and Tim Stützle play the way they have played, and trust me, I guarantee you, Leon Draisaitl will be motivated after his speech in Calgary last week. He will be motivated. I think the Germans will surprise a lot of people. So this tournament is far from what we believed Four Nations was, which it's a moot point. It's going to be Canada, United States in the final game, I was there when pros showed up in '98. I lived it for 80 days in Japan. 80 days I was there. We had Russia and Czech in the final, and they were the 2 best teams. So it's yes, my red flag comes out and says, damn right, we're going to be great. We're going to be great. But other teams are good too. And then you watch at the World, after the World Juniors got going, I don't watch the preliminary rounds of the World Juniors. I don't show up until the playoffs. I just warned people on Twitter, hey guys, if you don't think what we're seeing in Minneapolis and St. Paul isn't a warning of what could occur in Milan, adjust your set, adjust it. The Europeans are really good at hockey. The Europeans know how to play the game. The Europeans, none of those guys that are going to play Milan have to adjust to playing on the NHL ice surface anymore. They are elite as well. So yes, Canada, yes, the United States, but boy, I think there's a giant asterisk beside the Swedes.
Yep, and we'll leave it at that. Look forward to all the action starting later this week. 1998, the Nagano Olympics that John just referenced. Really, it brought the best hockey players under the superior global sports brand, right? Those Olympic rings. And ever since, we've missed it so much, John, over the last 12 years. And so I didn't think I would get into Four Nations last year. And then, of course, all the political backdrop started happening, and I was right into it. And I will be pacing my living room, I am sure, later this week or at some point over the next fortnight, watching all this go down. Thank you for this, my friend. Enjoy the games as well, and we'll catch up soon.
Can I do a blatant plug?
Yes.
Yeah. So as of tomorrow, every night at the conclusion of all the games, 100% hockey with our special guest commentator, Ken Hitchcock, every night.
Brilliant.
Wow.
No better guy to dissect the games than Hitch.
Yeah, I'm just going to say hello, Ken, and then he's going to talk for 10 minutes.
John, we used to say when Barry Trotz or Ken Hitchcock came into Vancouver, you could tell they would light up. Like their media availabilities were more like seminars, for heaven's sakes. Like you could tell how much they enjoyed being encircled by Canadian media, getting all of these questions, in some cases minutia, nuance about the game of hockey, and would sit there. I've seen 30 to 45 minute post-practice, post-morning skate scrums from Hitch and from Barry.
In their home markets, they had Scott and Dan.
Yeah,
Up here, they had 12 people.
They had the court, right? It was the King's Court.
Stanley Cup final in 1999, Ken almost missed the national anthem because he was still talking to me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers, boys.
Sick Harrison Price from the historic Wall Center. This next spot brought to you by Levelware. Golf having a moment right now, and not just the traditional sense. Used to feel buttoned up. It's become a lot more cultural. You're seeing athletes from basketball, hockey, football, even surfers using it as a way to hang out and just enjoy the game differently. That shift is exactly where Hurley's collaboration with Levelware comes in. Hurley brings that laid-back board sports energy and the collection pulls from an inspiration of Hawaiian and coastal prints, relaxed, expressive, rooted in lifestyle. Levelware takes that inspiration and brings it to life through performance-driven, sustainably made apparel that's actually built to move and play. The result, the Fairwaves collection, modern golf silhouettes that feel lighter, more wearable, less rigid. It's respectful of the game's roots, but definitely not stuck in tradition. This collection is live right now, available on Levelware's website. Go to levelware.com. Check out the polos, hoodies, hats, and casuals. That's levelware.com. As we bring in Seahawks beat reporter for the Tacoma News Tribune, retired Army captain, or Seahawks insider, Mr. Gregg Bell from the Super City. And here's the thing, when your team wins the championship, you're really busy the next day. So, Greg, thank you for the time here today on a famous day for Seattle sports.
It is a famous. Thank you. By the way, that was a hell of a read. You got to get a.
He's so good. He's so good. Yeah.
That was pretty long too. Yeah, this is only the second time in this franchise's 50-year history they've awakened as Super Bowl champions. They were really relishing this, as you can imagine, in the locker room last night. usually they have the ski goggles on for the champagne to stay out of their eyes, right? That's a professional sports thing. I think the way my eyes are burning in the locker room, I think they had them on for the cigar smoke.
Oh, yeah.
It was, or at least I hope it was cigar smoke. It was thick. And so was the appreciation for what these guys had done. You know, in sports, we have so many numbers and metrics and advanced stats. The intangibles are a large reason why the Seahawks are Super Bowl champions. Their togetherness, the 12-1, they really live that. And it started back in April and May. I've been telling everybody down here this week at Super Bowl in San Francisco and San Jose that they had 100% participation in the May and June OTAs and minicamps, which is unheard of in the NFL. Guys usually go, they blow it off for any reason. Weddings, anything. Just take a trip because Marshawn Lynch never showed up for those. Michael Bennett used to just stay with his wife and girls out in Hawaii during OTAs and minicamps, and no one batted an eye because it's voluntary. Sam Darnold got here, and his first thing was that he got the defensive leaders together, DeMarcus Lawrence, also new to the team after 11 years in Dallas, Leonard Williams, and he said, guys, let's get them all here, and let's make it a priority that we all show up for May and June. And the brotherhood and bonding they did then while everybody else is just goofing off and only half of the teams are there, that set, one, the tone for the entire season, but it also set a ground basis for the training camp that they had a head start over everybody else. And McDonald could install his defense and do a lot of things advanced in July and August. That, it's touchy-feely, gray, it's esoteric, but I think that, as much as anything, led to them being as bonded and as excellent on the field eventually.
The game, the score, I'll say at least, was exactly what we expected, but we didn't expect this on week one of the season. So, I am surprised they're Super Bowl champions. Not going in, not a week ago surprised, but I am, 5 months ago surprised.
Well, as we said in the opening spot, 60-1 preseason. I mean, the largest since New England won in 2001.
I mean, if you had told yourself from week one that this team's going to win the Super Bowl, what do you think week one self would have said?
No, because I don't think the offense was matched to the level of their defense. What ended up happening was they got it took them a while, but they got the running game finally to the point where they could play complementary to the defense with the run and didn't rely as much on Sam Darnold in the past. When they were relying so much, it was high bar, high output with the pass game, but also high risk and high turnover. Yeah, Jackson Smith and Jig with 1,800 yards, and Sam Darnold made another Pro Bowl. But Darnold led the NFL in turnovers in doing it. Mm-hmm. So it was high risk, high reward. That wasn't sustainable for when the Rams and the Super Bowl came calling. And that's what changed with the offense. Once they finally got the running game solidified, I mean, Kubiak was running it whether they were getting yards or not. They were among the tops in the league in percentage of run plays all season, but they were at the bottom in yards per carry until December. And once they took off with 160, 170, 180-yard rushing games, then Mike McDonald could finally, by late December, play to his defense. And we saw it again last night. I thought they absolutely throttled down Darnold in the pass game after the first quarter.
Yes.
You could tell. Darnold
Craig
was throwing some tight windows in the first quarter, some risky throws. There was a throw to Smith and Jigba before he even came out of his out route in his own end that very easily could have been an interception in the first quarter in the -20. I don't know if you remember that play.
You sure do.
And if he had thrown that interception, the entire game changes because then New England's playing from the front. And the Seahawks have to then open up the game plan offense. Once the first quarter ended and McDonald saw that the Patriots weren't going to do squat against the defense, he said, let's just run Walker 27 times, throw some dip-offs in the open field, and as long as our quarterback doesn't turn the ball over, we're going to be the Super Bowl champions, and that's what happened. 5 weeks in a row now, Darnold hasn't turned the ball over. They're 5-0, and they won the Super Bowl.
Yep, and I was terrified for them in the early going last night when he was throwing some of those risky balls. I did my mea culpa in the opening spot, Greg. I was not a Sam Darnold believer because I didn't believe he'd be able to take care of the football against good teams as the playoffs marched along, but sure enough, he did. I do have to ask you this because I thought and I am not the biggest Chris Collinsworth fan. In fact, I saw a tweet last night. I'll take Bad Bunny in Spanish over Chris Collinsworth in English.
That's me. I don't mind him.
He did a painstaking job. Like, you don't want to crap on a Super Bowl team, but I thought Collinsworth met the moment last night doing a painstaking job in explaining that Seattle wasn't doing anything different than what they normally do on defense. It was mostly zone. It was mostly rush with 4. It was the occasional nickel blitz off the edge with Witherspoon. And yet somehow, some way, New England had no answers for something they should have been very well prepared for.
Like they didn't scout.
Exactly. Yeah. And that, let's face it, is like, explain to me, Greg, how New England wasn't able to make the single slightest adjustment in the face of a Seattle defense and scheme that they knew exactly that it was coming at them.
I'll push back a little bit on what you say and Collinsworth said. I talked to McDonald again this morning because last night Witherspoon told me we had a bead on their protection schemes, and we knew specifically they knew exactly how New England's backs were going to react to pressure, to blitzes. And what they did, they started doing that they didn't do much of during the season. Early in the game last night, guys, McDonald sent Witherspoon and Emmanwori.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So the Patriots backs picked up Emmanwori, but they didn't pick up Witherspoon because they hadn't seen most of the season. McDonald didn't send both. So that changed the calculus in the backfield in the protection scheme for New England. They were getting overloaded with their chips. They didn't have enough chippers to chip. And Witherspoon was beaten, and that's why it was a quiet game from Emmanwori, because the Patriots had schemed for that, and they blocked that. But they didn't expect Witherspoon to blitz as much as he did. They definitely blitzed Witherspoon early in the game more. Then they backed off, but by then May was spooked. And by then they were down 9-0, and then they had to throw. And by then the running game for the Patriots was non-existent and non-fact. So it was a subtlety. And that's what McDonald is so good at. Yeah, they mostly rushed 4. Yeah, they still did nickel blitzes. Yeah, they still ran zone. But the double blitzing, more than he had done in the past, really changed, I thought, the entire – Drake May was completely out of sorts from the first quarter on because of that blitzing.
Guys, he's 23 years old. I watched zero. I had 0 minutes of Patriots watching this year, so I went in with completely new eyes, wondering what this team is about. I still don't know what this team is about because that's all I've got to go on, and there was nothing there. But that's a 23-year-old quarterback in the Super Bowl. He looked like a 23-year-old quarterback in the Super Bowl, didn't he?
He did. Mike McDonald's schemes make quarterbacks look like they're 13, not 23.
Yes, right. Yes, better comparison.
He just checkmates and chess matches the hell out of offensive coordinators and quarterbacks. And he did it again last night. 2 weeks to prepare. He told us this morning, actually, when Nick Emmanwori twisted his ankle in practice Wednesday, he said to himself, we just lost the Super Bowl. McDonald did. That's how central Emmanwori is to everything they do. And Emmanwori was central to last night's plan for what I just mentioned last answer, the double blitzing. If Emmanwori had been out or limited, all those guys that were picking up Emmanwori would have picked up Witherspoon. And now, all of a sudden, it's a different game. May gets in a rhythm. May completes passes early in the game. Nick Emmanwori is probably the most valuable player on this team. Not how he performed, but the roles he has. Those roles make McDonald do everything else that the Seahawks did to win the Super Bowl and be the number 1 defense this year. Play 7 in coverage, stay in nickel and dime more than any team in the league, no matter whether teams run or pass. Nick Emmanwori allows them to do that. So when McDonald said he woke up 70 times Wednesday night worried about Emmanwori's ankle, and when he finally got the word Thursday morning that it was a low ankle sprain, he was relieved and said, we're going to win the Super Bowl. They came into the game, as I think I may have told you last week on the bus and the crapper.
Yeah.
They came into the game knowing New England could not sustain drives for touchdowns against them. So blitz, make Drake May uncomfortable, and then on offense, give it to Walker, reduce the risk with Sam Darnold, and they'll win the Super Bowl.
Blake and I had begun talking through December about, first of all, still cannot believe Emmanwori lasted to the second round. I mean, he had the combine of all combines. He was absolutely the versatile chess piece that you need in modern defenses. Have no idea how so many teams, including Seattle, passed on him and allowed him to get to the second round. Blake and I were talking through December, is this a legendary defense? 85 Bears, 86 Giants, 2,000 Ravens, Legion of Boom, or just a very good defense in a year where that might be good enough? Say the last two Giants champions where they beat New England both times. Where do you fall now, Greg? Like, should we be talking about the 25 Seahawks in the realm of some of those great defenses that I just listed off?
I don't think so, because they couldn't even be. They weren't even, how do I say this? They couldn't even shut down offenses in their own division. The Rams absolutely shredded them the last two times they played. And in fact, the Seahawks were really fortunate to win the NFC Championship game because of how that fourth down play played out and DeMarcus Lawrence freelancing into the running back out of the flat that cost the Stafford to go off his main read on 4th and 4 that would have been the winning touchdown pass. They were dominant, yes, but not all the time. 38 points by Baker Mayfield in Seattle when the Seahawks had 4 missing starters on defense. Their sum was better than their parts. McDonald had them so together from front to back. The front four was so in unison. Williams and Marcus Lawrence and Byron Murphy, whom Byron Murphy played a fantastic game again last night. Those guys, together, they were better than they were individually. The Legion of Boom teams, of course, were individually superior. They just had better talent. The Sherman and Chancellor and Bobby Wagner and Earl Thomas. This team's not like that. This team, if the front four doesn't play like it does, the back seven couldn't be as effective as they are in coverage and on the ball. So I wouldn't put them in the 85 Bears or the Ray Lewis Ravens or the Steelers Steel Curtain in the 70s. I think they're a notch below that. But for modern day football, which is so offensive heavy, to have it, for one, to choose to go defensive route to keep up with McVay and Shanahan. John Schneider and the Seahawks could have easily chosen the Ben Johnson, the next big hotshot offensive mind, to try to keep pace with the Rams and the 49ers. He went the other way. He said, let's find the guy that can stop those guys. And he did. He found the coach that could stop McVay and Shanahan, and he had to do it to get the Super Bowl, and he did.
But that's year one of this defense. What does next year look like? Not only does Nick Emmanwori just get wiser and stronger and all that sort, like Mike McDonald can start to fine tune, be a little bit nitpicky. Well, I can maybe improve here, maybe improve there. Like, are they better next year?
They're all coming back on defense.
Yeah.
Nwosu is one of the only ones whose contract is ending, and then they just gave him a restructured deal from before this season. Leonard Williams still under contract. DeMarcus Lawrence has 2 more years. Witherspoon's about to get a gigantic payday. Emmanwori's only in the 2nd year. Reek Woolen is a pending free agent and probably played his last game for Seattle last night because of the depth that they have at the defensive back position. But Ernest Jones is still under contract. Drake Thomas emerged off the practice squad to become every down starter at the other inside linebacker spot. Byron Murphy's only in year 2 of a 4-year deal. They're not up against salary cap hell. They have 3rd most cap space, $70 million in the league next year to go out and buy, like Blake, you're saying, to mix and match. And they need a little more depth in the defensive line, especially in run stopping. They could use them a little more depth at linebacker. But Mike McDonald's not going anywhere. His Aiden Dirty's going to come back because he didn't get any jobs on his interviews, although he impressed the hell out of people in his head coaching interviews. Dirty's probably going to get a head coaching job this time next year if they have the same sign of success. They're going to come back almost whole on defense, Blake. And to your point, they're only going to get better on defense. Can the offense sustain?
You have to go back to Marshawn Lynch to find a starting running back who gobbles up more than 5% of the salary cap on a Super Bowl winner. In fact, most Super Bowl winners have very lightly paid running backs. Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP, is a free agent, Greg. Is there wisdom in bringing him back? Not necessarily because that's how you structure a roster cap-wise, but because it tells the rest of the guys in the room you're willing to pay for the guys who brought you the big success.
Yeah, I think it's somewhat disrespectful that they haven't even offered Kenneth Walker anything up to this point. I spent a lot of time in San Jose last week talking to Walker about this, a lot of it off the record. He is not at all thrilled at how this season played out on the whole. He's thrilled how it ended because for him personally, he just made tens of millions of dollars and probably a couple more years of contract in the postseason. And I asked him on Wednesday, have the Seahawks even come to you about a contract? And he gave me the same answer he gave me in August. Not that I know of. He just fired his agents. He hired new ones, David Cantor in the Aura Sports Group out of Florida. He has an eye already toward free agency. And once a team allows a guy to get this close to his first ever free agent market, he gone. He's going to take every offer and field every offer he can get, and he'll never be higher valued than he is at this morning in his life. He's 25 years old without recent injury history. This is the first year he's played 17 games. I don't think they bring him back because he priced himself out.
Really?
The Seahawks should have already offered.
Greg, with all that cap space and having lost Charbonnet to the significant knee injury, you're just going to start anew with a stable of running backs as the defending Super Bowl champion? Really?
I don't think they want to now, Matt. I think Kenneth Walker is going to say, you had your chance.
Oh,
and
wow.
You had an entire season to re-sign me, and you didn't believe in me enough that you gave me a job share in my contract year. Why am I going to give you a hometown discount or the opportunity to sign me before I can go get open market money? The entire league just saw me run for the Super Bowl MVP at 135 yards. The entire league saw me average 140 yards per game in the playoffs. Why would I settle for less when I'm about to go get more?
Okay, here's my play though, Greg. Here's my play if I'm John Schneider. I say, Kenneth, and I get that because that's the way this league used to work. But you did that in the playoffs because we had a job share. And because you didn't have the wear and tear on your body, that's what you were able to do. And maybe he still says screw you and gives him the middle finger and leaves. But I try to convince him that he got there because of the way they treated him, no?
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly the party line. That's what they've been saying all year. That's why they told him that's why they were doing what they were doing, so they can get him through 17 games. It's going to take more than they've been willing, obviously more than they've been willing to offer because they haven't offered him anything. But up until this point, I think they were going to offer him maybe 1, maybe 2 years. Now he can command a 3. He's only 25 years old.
Yeah, that's crazy. When you said that, I blew my mind. Yeah.
Right. But in the NFL, there's still a Todd Gurley syndrome. You guys remember the Todd Gurley contract the Rams gave him? $61 million, and he played a year. Not even. He played like half of a season before his knees just broke down. He was out of the league by 27. Oh. The Rams cut him a year and a half after that contract, owing him $30 million of the 60. He played a part of one season for Atlanta, and he was done at 27. And especially John Schneider inside the NFC West, every NFL general manager remembers that deal. And with the exception of Saquon Barkley to the Eagles, no real big free agent deals, right?
Right.
For running backs, even in their 20s. The NFL general managers decided a long time ago, it's almost like collusion, that they decided that running backs get hurt too much, and rather than go pay one, we're going to keep redrafting and having rookie salary guys that are young and not hurt yet. And as soon as they get hurt, we'll go draft some more rookie guys that are young and inexpensive. And then when they get hurt, we'll draft some more. It's why they drafted Charbonnet in the second round 1 year after drafting Walker. Now, Matt brings up an interesting point because now the calculus has changed. They didn't plan on Charbonnet having a season-ending knee injury not being available till next summer, maybe the beginning of next season. To your point, Matt, maybe that does bring them a little bit more to the table with Walker and offer him more money. Look, I'm a big Kenneth Walker proponent. I thought he should have never had a job share to begin with this year. I know why the Seahawks did it. I think they should bring him back and should have brought him back way before this. Yeah. I'm just saying, now that you're this close, 6 weeks from free agency, it might be too hard to get him back.
Yeah, and the other thing that plays into this, and it was mentioned yesterday on the broadcast, He's not necessarily the complete back, right? Like, he's not the best pass protector. He's not the best receiver. And he also had 499 touches in college. He was truly a workhorse back for Michigan State. So there are a lot of miles despite age 25. Want to ask you this question because there's nothing like your first. And we all remember when they won in 2013, what that was like for your city. And yet, Greg, this one has to be unexpected, right? I can't imagine even the most optimistic Seahawk fans were sitting there in September saying this is a Super Bowl champion. What do you think in terms of affinity level and parade turnout for the city of Seattle? How will this one be remembered vis-a-vis the first Super Bowl title?
You're right about it being unexpected. And this team is more likable than some of the brashness of the other team for casual fans I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There's some people that were rubbed the wrong way by how brash those other Seahawks and Legion of Boom guys were. But having covered both, been here for both, that Seahawk first Super Bowl championship will never be repeated or approached for fervor, for just absolute passion. That parade with the duck boats and Marshawn Lynch falling off the side, it was off the hook. And it was like 5 degrees in Seattle that day, 5 degrees Fahrenheit, that is. So whatever, 20 below where you guys are from. Yeah. It was cold. And nobody seemed to care. It was all the way down 4th Avenue, the noise. I don't sense the fervor in this team like that, only because there'll never be a first Super Bowl championship again. But having said that, if you're someone who's lived in the Pacific Northwest, like a lot of your viewers and listeners for the 25, 30 years, 2 Super Bowls in 12 years, 2 Super Bowl championships in 12 years, 4 Super Bowls in 14 years, that's some heady stuff for a team that was 8-8, 9-7, 7-9 for about 30 years.
Well, I saw Softy was tweeting out, like, they certainly should have 3. Maybe they should have 4 Super Bowls. Like, and even if they've got 3, never mind a 4th. If they've got 3, I mean, they're in Chiefs and Patriots territory of the last 20 years, right?
That's right. If only they had run the ball on 1 yard line. They have been good enough to win 3 Super Bowl championships in the last 13 years.
Yeah.
And in the NFL, that's pretty damn close to dynasty because of how they legislate against it.
Mm-hmm.
And some would say they should have won Super Bowl 42 if not for the officiating in Detroit.
No, they played their worst game of a decade that year. That was the worst Mike Holmgren offensive performance ever. I will never go down thinking that they should have won that game. They played so poorly in Detroit. I was there, and they were bad.
This coming from a former high school football official in the state of California, it must be said. He backs the Stripes. Lastly, saw that report about the team being for sale, or that a sale absolutely has to go through now, and other NFL owners are like, okay, stop dragging your feet up. I thought Jody Allen acquitted herself so well. Yes, I mean, and she just seems so down to earth too, right? Like, as opposed to some owners when they get that trophy. What's yours? Because that was a big worry when Paul Allen died, right? Like, this is one of the best run organizations in all of professional sports. What's it going to be like now that he's no longer there and that it's held in trust by his sister? You tell me, Greg, where is this franchise headed? How long is Jody Allen and the Allen Trust going to be the owners of this team?
Oh, I think it's a matter of months, if not weeks. Not that long. This spring, when the Blazers sale closes, probably in a couple months, that will be the impetus for, if they're already not on sale by then, they'll go on sale after the Blazers sale closes. Jody Allen can be picky here, and the trust lawyers can be picky here. This is not an owner who's trying to liquidate or sell at highest value. It's just a trust going through the assets of Paul Allen. Now, to us, it's a big deal because it's a sports franchise. But he's got stuff all over the world. Space exploration and third world country water quality and philanthropy. This is just another piece. So to the lawyers and everybody, they don't have to rush in and take the first offer. They can vet. So having said all of that, I think Jody Allen's going to have a really large influence on who buys the team because she can be picky, and therefore she can pick someone who will be a steward of the Northwest. or a group of investors. There's enough money out here that they can have a group of Seattle-based investors to keep it here and running for the Northwest for perpetuity. But
that'd be great.
I don't see Bezos coming necessarily. In the way he ran the Washington Post in the ground, I don't think anyone in the Northwest wants Bezos to buy anything that's in the Northwest right now. But I think it's a consortium of Google, Microsoft, Starbucks, Boeing money, maybe Amazon money to keep them in the Northwest. I don't have any fear that it's going to be moved away. There's going to be some carpetbagging Clay Bennett Jr. coming in.
No.
They know, just to let you know, that this is a civic treasure in the Seahawks. Right. They're not the Sonics. So, not to disparage the Sonics fandom, but the Sonics are a different animal when it comes to the Seahawks. But it's going to get done in the spring. I'd be very surprised if the Seahawks don't have new ownership by next year. And that changes a lot of stuff. McDonald had a relationship with Jody Allen that not too many people know this. Jody Allen met with Mike McDonald every Monday after games. And usually over Zoom. She didn't come out to the facility much. Was less prominent and visible than Paul Allen was after games in locker rooms and stuff. She didn't do that. But McDonald said she got him through the fog of his first year. He said he was in a fog as a rookie head coach, and that her clarity in messaging and her piercing questions is what he said, really guided him, gave him some guideposts to get through the first year. And he speaks so highly of Jody Allen. Wow. They're not going to change the football operation side of it no matter who buys it because they just won a Super Bowl.
Nor should they. If you ever were buying a sports franchise that was plug and play, just don't screw it up. This is the
right.
One. It's
how many Super Bowl, Stanley Cup, NBA, World Series champion teams go on sale in the next few months? This is almost unprecedented.
Very few. The team's a civic treasure, and so are you, Captain Bell. Can't thank you enough for all of the availability over the course of this season. I appreciate this. Come on up to Vancouver. Look forward to taking you to dinner.
I got time off. I'm heading your way. I'm going to let
it's time
you
to go skiing at Whistler, Captain. Bring the whole fam down, all right?
Bring the snow. Is it finally snowing?
It's coming. It's coming
this week. Yeah, okay. I'll get there. Thanks, guys.
Secure some price from the historic Wall Center and our studio built by Arbor Lee. Big game downtown. Make it more than just a game. Make it an experience. Game night and beyond here at the Sheraton Vancouver Wall Center. Walk to the action, sleep like a champ. Plan your stay at wallcenter.com. Well, Canada on the board again here on day 3 of the Milan Games. A bronze medal for Megan Oldham in the free ski slopestyle. She steps up from a 4th place finish in the big air event at the Beijing Games. She was podium adjacent in 2 events 4 years ago, so good on her for breaking through. That's now 2 bronze medals after Valerie Malte, her 3rd place in speed skating over the weekend. Canada typically starts slow. This is always the joke amongst the Canadian contingent that is on site covering the games. We know that Vancouver didn't really get off to a roaring start outside of our first ever gold.
It was nice to see her with the medal still intact. Have you been keeping up to speed on this scandal?
No.
The medals are falling apart.
What do you mean falling apart?
There's a medal clasp that attaches the ribbon to the medals, and as the athletes are jumping up and down after getting the medals are falling off of the ribbon.
Oh, no.
And at risk of getting lost amidst the hubbub.
No.
We are day 4 of these games.
Oh, that's a lot of medals to come.
Can we replace the clasps mid-games?
Yeah, maybe a little duct tape or something to double reinforce.
A Canadian solution to an Italian problem. Let's get the duct tape.
Let's hope the rink stays intact. Yeah. You know how that was jammy till the end. So first individual medal for Malte in speed skating. She has won before in short track, so she's now one of the rare Canadians with medals in more than one discipline at the Olympics. Was really pulling for the Whistler duo, Jack Crawford, Cam Alexander in the men's downhill. Alas, no dice there. 4th in the team figure skating. We actually have a ski jumper, Abigail Straight, who is having a banner season on the World Cup, but wasn't able to hit the podium in the normal hill. She'll try again on the large hill. Whitecaps have finished up their preseason play with a couple of games. Thomas Muller scored in a loss. The team comes back to town from Marbella, Spain tomorrow before heading down to the CONCACAF Champions League opener in Costa Rica. Now, that's the team itself. Needless to say, there is another bigger story right now swirling around the Whitecaps. I know you and Jeff covered most of it last week. Did want to get to this. Minister Ravi Kahlon on Donnie and Dolly Friday said he's pleased the Whitecaps have accepted the offer to renew the lease for 2026. It's a total package of increased revenue of $2.7 million for the Whitecaps. Now, they have been throwing around the number of $40 million shy of where they need to be.
Middle of the pack.
To get middle of the pack, which is what they want. The minister saying, quote, at first when they said no, I was like, what is going on? He also said the club has not asked the province for money to build a stadium. The Whitecaps certainly with a hard press here, and Axel Schuster has since denied that they
said no. So there's a communication breakdown here. And I think my guess would be that either A, the Whitecaps, and maybe it's both, just don't feel like they should ask the government for money, or they just know that the answer will be no. I mean,
well, again, so first of all, there are no. Of course, the provincial government is not going to write a check out of general revenues to pay for a stadium. Not happening.
The plan as we see it is about the most generous as I would get, which is you can have this land on a real humdinger of a lease.
Well, no, you developed the land for
us.
It is a site now that needs redevelopment, the Hastings Park site. And as we've been talking about for, a year now, Blake, the model here, which has become the model across a broad spectrum of sports leagues. You can find this in the Canadian Football League. You can find this in the NHL, the NBA, the NFL, all of them, baseball. They develop a site, the sports team develops a site that has a real estate component to it. The real estate is where the real money is, right? Which finances the building of a very expensive stadium. That has to be the way it goes down.
Not to mention casino possibilities.
That's right.
Concert venue possibilities, all that sort of stuff that goes into it.
Yeah, for sure. Now, short term, and I did not, forgive me, I don't know if, I guess it was Henderson and Rick asked the minister the question on Friday, or if this question has been asked to PAFCO and the provincial government, but stadium naming rights. Is that not a way to bridge the gap in the near term? Now, I don't know necessarily how much the stadium naming rights would be worth, but I would have to think it's in the tens of millions of dollars, right? So how about go on out, whether it's the province, which was once talking about doing this on its own, or even commission the Whitecaps to go on out and find a stadium naming rights partner who comes on in, makes it blank field at BC Place, or just call it blank place, whatever the corporate name is, and then take those revenues and help share them with the Whitecaps as the anchor tenant, the team that uses the facility the most, right? To get a little further down the road in terms of what the club needs to be financially viable in the near term.
Both MLS and as a league and the Whitecaps have already had that on the tips of their tongues. Like
MLS has also even said we'd run the stadium, and that's the other thing that I think we in British Columbia have to start wrapping our heads around. And for people like Blake and myself and anybody who's been engaged in sports media and has had the opportunity to travel the country, the continent, the world, looking at different arenas and stadiums and how they are run, we can assure you that they are run a lot better and a lot more cost effectively elsewhere than they are at BC Place. In fact, you go right across the street, and I realize it's not the heyday of Rogers Arena, but that building was run beautifully by Harvey Jones as GM back in the day. It tends to be more expensive when it's government run. It adds a layer that I'm not sure is necessary. And I sit here and ask myself, okay, what is the future of Pavco, and is Pavco really required in this community?
So if people want comparisons for naming
Why
rights
couldn't
deals,
it just be enveloped by one of the existing provincial ministries at the very least? Like, why does it have to be an arm's length Crown Corp? Even that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
so the Scotiabank Arena, Maple Leafs home in Toronto, by comparison, it's almost a 10-year-old deal now. So, adjust inflation accordingly. That's a $40 million per year naming rights deal. Now, you're not going to get that. That's the home of the Maple Leafs.
And the Raptors,
Yes.
very important.
Yeah. But, I mean, given that's like an 8-year-old deal now.
Could you get half of that?
Could you get half of that? And then you're starting to claw yourself back towards the middle of the pack at the very least. Even if you have to give 4 of that to Pavco.
Yeah.
And you keep $16 million.
Yeah. And I can understand from Pavco's perspective of, okay, you just want to use this as a bridge until you get to your new stadium. We feel like we're being used. And I can understand that, but I also ask myself, okay, but what's the future of BC Place if the Whitecaps leave town?
And also, you're not a private enterprise. Like
You're a government.
Yeah.
Governments do services.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll see where it goes. LAFC to sign the Canadian international midfielder Steven Estacio from FC Porto. We had talked about Estacio languishing on that Porto bench. Really big, good club. He was awesome to get there and perform for them as he did. But as he got lost in the shuffle here, he needed playing time before this Canadian World Cup in June. So he's 29 years old. He's 54 caps for Canada, made 156 appearances for Porto, and now he joins the Whitecaps' big rival.
And interesting, I doubt they play a ton together, but there is the possibility there'll be times that LAFC supports a fully Canadian midfield with Chouanier alongside him. I think Chouanier is going to be his understudy more than they'll play together, but there will be times, I'm sure, where the two Canadians will be guiding the midfield of LAFC.
Buck Martinez retiring after 40-plus years with the Blue Jays as a player, manager, and broadcaster. He has battled cancer over the last couple of years, didn't do as many games as he used to. He said he wanted to be a part of this upcoming 50th anniversary season, but it was time to pass the torch in a beautiful, heartfelt note to the Blue Jays and their fans. Iconic Canadian broadcaster, unmistakable voice, right? Catchphrases galore. He's kind of Mr. Blue Jay at this point. I mean, we say that about Paul Beeston, the first employee of the club, of course, their team president, CEO during the glory years. But, Paul was in the background. Buck was in the foreground for most of this franchise's existence.
The good news is the salvaging factor of this, because it'll be different to see and hear Blue Jays broadcast without him, is that Dan Shulman is damn good at his job too.
Really good.
And so you're not starting from square one in your booth. You've got one of the top 5, I think, play-by-play guys in Major League Baseball.
For sure.
Still there as the main guiding voice, and that will help along whoever takes over from Buck.
But between Rick Riz and Buck Martinez, we're losing a lot of institutional knowledge here and familiar voices with the two franchises that we pay most attention to. And speaking of those Mariners, their Canadian pitcher, reliever Matt Brash, he has decided not to pitch for Canada at the World Baseball Classic. He's battled arm problems, Brash has, including an elbow last year. He's a high-effort delivery guy. He wants to focus on the season, keep the arm fresh. You can understand that. Yeah. With the Mariners hoping to vie for the AL pennant this year. Some low-rent behavior from fans at the Wasted Management Open in Phoenix.
No surprise.
There was that idiot streamer paying a guy to yell in Mackenzie Hughes' backswing that got both of them banned for life from PGA Tour events. Then 2 fans interrupt leader Hideki Matsuyama down the stretch, including one standing over a putt to win the tournament. On the 72nd green, he had to back off. Then a security guard, and I hope accidentally, drops a chair with Matsuyama in his backswing on the playoff hole. He was able to stop, Tiger-esque. But he hits his drive into the water, and Chris Gotterup wins his second win on tour this season. He is a damn fine player. He was a huge miss for Keegan Bradley on that Ryder Cup team last year. Got super emotional, too, crying, barely eking out sentences talking about all his friends and family who have supported him over the years. Darn good player. It's a fantastic tournament at an awesome venue. I love the stadium setup for that 16th hole and how unique it makes this tournament. But and we've said this before, Blake, they absolutely have to step up the security at this event and get some of these blottos off the grounds. I mean, I know boorish behavior is on trend in the United States right now, starts at the top. But golf's a gentle game, and it should be kept that way. And I cannot believe just the scenes and the sounds from this place now are beyond the pale.
Well, there will be natural consequences to that. Players, and especially guys like Scheffler and Matsuyama, guys whose names mean something, they'll just say, you know what, we're not coming. That's not worth it to me. We're not going to come unless you provide absolute ironclad assurances that things will change. But otherwise, we're not going. And they can't force them to go.
I mean, every year, Blake, you get videos of people leaving the 16th green who can barely stand up, who are crawling, who are throwing up everywhere. Like, again, I don't mind a fun, boozy hole on the PGA Tour with 16,000 people or whatever it is now to give, to break up the tournament to tournament monotony of what is typically very garden variety crowds. But with that comes great responsibility to try and keep control of the proceedings and the people who are in that venue. I mean, at some point you just got to tell your bartenders, you got to cut some of these people off.
Yeah, and also just like maybe have the looser rules about beer consumption just around the 16th, so at least the players know where to expect it rather than everywhere on the golf course.
The problem is once the leaders get through 16 on Sunday, then that crowd disperses, and a lot of them follow players to 17 and 18, which is, of course, where it happened with Matsuyama. And from dumb to dumber, a stupid scene at Rogers Arena Saturday night prior to the Vancouver Warriors lacrosse game versus Rochester. A fight breaks out in pregame. Not a game. This is pregame, what you're watching right here. You may have caught, and run it again, Mike. There's a group of young lacrosse players there.
Bottom left of your screen.
Yeah, bottom
there.
left. Like, those are kids. These guys are swinging, hurricaning around, and you've got, like, Timbit lacrosse players there.
They have to be protected there.
In what world?
Yeah.
Both players thrown out before the game even started. Warriors won 16-15. They've won 3 in a row, 6 of 7. 6-2, tied for second in the NLL. So building off last year's finalist appearance, they're at first place Saskatchewan on Saturday. And lastly here, 2026 Milan Games underway, and the world's best men's and women's hockey players are battling for gold. Daily face-off, covering every game, every goal, every jaw-dropping moment, plus live reactions, streams, full recaps, all the drama. Who will rise to the top? Don't miss a second of the hockey from Milan on the Daily Face-Off YouTube channel. Live reactions, recaps, so you never miss a moment. Keep up with the hockey action from the games on the Daily Face-Off YouTube channel. Hit subscribe and be part of every play. And, of course, we'll have coverage here as well on Sekeres and Price. And as mentioned earlier, bit of a different schedule here for us over the next couple of weeks. For starters, no show tomorrow. We're going to let the games marinate a little bit before we get into programming later in the week. There will be some shows that are later than the prescribed time.
We're going to let the hockey games happen, and then
we can tell you we'll be noon on Wednesday, and then we're going to see where this goes. But you could very well be looking at Sekeres and Price episodes after hockey games later in the afternoon. So we'll keep you apprised of all of that as we get going here, and then. Next week, we don't even really know because
we need to see what Canada does. It changes
Let's see what the Canadian men's
They stubbed their toe. They got to play on Monday, right? Rather than get the day off. So
I don't even want to consider it right now. But yes, it'll be a a little bit different. Let's get to final results of the Yellow Dog poll question from Thursday. Ask you, traded or not, should the Canucks sign Teddy Bluger in the offseason? Yes or no? People said.
People said
Very close.
I'm worried that people misunderstood the question. But
I saw you litigating some of that.
But I'll say yes. I'll say yes.
Yeah, most people got it. 52% said yes. Yeah. Hockey Force says we still need a reliable PK guy unless we want to get blown away every night. Mike says make him captain. Colton says I like him, but not at 31 years old when he's going to get paid. Got to play the kids. I understand all that.
I don't know that he's going to get paid. This is a nice 10-game spell, but I don't know that he gets paid. Like, he's not going to get the Kiefer Sherwood deal, whatever Kiefer Sherwood signs for.
No.
So I don't think you have to worry about that. Does he get $3 million a year? Maybe.
Well, does he get term? Does he get 3 years? Does someone go 3? I mean, again, it's an escalating cap, so we have to.
You have to adjust what $3 million is.
Exactly, and adjust what a 3-year deal is and all those things. Errors and omissions. I'm sure it was a perfect show on Thursday.
What did you hear about the doozy we had last week, though?
Sure did.
It's Monday today. I can get that right. It's not going to be Monday tomorrow or the rest of the week.
Ron Burgundy.
It's self-imposed Ron Burgundy. Yes. Oh, man.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you spending some time connecting with the program. Please do subscribe to all our assorted channels, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Follow on social, X, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky. Live many of those days, noon Pacific weekdays. We'll keep you abreast during the scheduling here for the next couple of weeks. And please do support the community sponsors you hear us talking about. Keep it local.